Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia on Primetime Sunday. My name is Dennis Jar, and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition, we're going to be looking at some hot button issues in our country, Liberia. Those are current issues, the issues that are making the news. We're going to be delving into those issues. Issues like the president's birthday celebration. What's this thing with birthday celebration? The other time it was the city mayor Koji, now is president. We are having an elaborate birthday celebration. We also see that the Unity Party and the ANC, they have their primaries, putting forward their standard bearers for elections 2023. We're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be looking at the Liberty Party's reconciliation meeting. And if time permits, we're going to go back and talk about our ritualistic killings. But first, we're going to talk about the arrest of an ANC leader that was reported in the news and what that have to do with ritualistic killing and all the 9 yards. So thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. With me to discuss this, I have some of the top political minds in the business, starting with our chief political analyst who's joining us from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Mr. Wilmon Weti Kuni. Mr. Kuni, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for having me, Dennis.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Mr. Josh Kanatule, who's joining us from Canada, a small city that have, Jerome Gilman said, they have 300 people. Mr. Tule, welcome to Focus on Liberia. And Mr. Tule is also a co-host of our program, On Point.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to having a very rewarding and fruitful conversation this evening.
Thank you. Also joining us is another co-host of On Point, the guy who and Tule never agreed, even on this tiny detail, Mr. Jerome Gilman, another co-host of On Point. Mr. Gilman, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for inviting me. I've been following the situation on the ground. I mean, it is beautiful, it's exciting, and for you, it has been very easy picking. There's so much news, so much things going on the ground, and I'm glad to join the debate.
Last but not the least, also joining us from Canada, by the way, he's the president of the Liberian Association of Canada. He's the host here of the Liberian Dream, Mr. Leo Nopolu Johnson. Leo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. J. I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion tonight.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe on Focus on Liberia. This is the only place where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. And let's get the ball rolling. If you have not already shared the show, please go ahead and share it. And before we go forward, there is a music or something that is going on Facebook that I want to share. This is a Bassa song. And we have Jerome here, who's also a Bassa guy. So let's listen to this song briefly, and then we'll start the show. I mean, it's Sunday. Let's sing God's song small.
Jesus, moni pueño, un sedazo emu. Jesus is my Savior. I shall not be moved. That was true when I was a kid, growing up in Liberia, in Riversess. Now I'm almost 65 years old, and it's still true today. Jesus, moni pueño, un sedazo emu. I shall not be moved. Jesus, moni pueño, un sedazo emu. Beod benwe moe, un sedazo emu kachugondo. Ni boni binyake, un sedazo emu. Un sedazo emu. Un sedazo emu. Kachugondo, ni boni binyake, un
All right. You like the song, Kanye? Earlier today, I had an interview with GGG on Liberian Colloquia, and now we have Sister Cara Ann Allen singing, Jesus is my savior. I shall not be moved. Mr. Johnson, your reaction?
My reaction is I'm a bit surprised, Mr. Jad, that you actually are shining a spotlight on it when I'm one person who've always called for the utter neglect and deception of our generation. Our older folks have decided to throw away our local languages. I've always advocated that, in fact, it should be taught in schools across the Republic of Liberia, all of them. So I would say it's one example, again, of us running away from ourselves, and more people are showing us how beautiful we are as a people, the richness of our local languages that we have neglected for so long and up to this day. Nobody is still willing to come to the realization that the longer we run away from it, the longer we will be without an identity as a people. We will continue to wonder. So I'm glad that you use this opportunity, Mr. Jha, to shine a spotlight on the fact that many of us have zero understanding, neither do I will say ability to speak any of our local languages. So thank you for actually shining the spotlight on it. And I continue to advocate that it is easier to teach our local languages in our schools than to be teaching French.
Thank you. Jerome, you speak Baza. The Baza look very legit and authentic.
Yes, and most people that have seen these videos and seen, like today you had a German man on your show that has so much interest in the death of our culture and the deprivation and the fanatics of our native tongue. And for those that came into the country that tried to bend our culture. In fact, those who are going around whenever our president speaks and he makes a slip of a tongue, they want to bash him because he has not mastered the Queen's language. I don't see them saying, let him speak Kru or let him speak Bassa, where his mother is from. Instead, they want to crucify him because he does not master the Queen's language to their taste. He does not have the tea every morning as the Queen does. So I agree with my brother here, Mr. Johnson, that yes, instead of us encouraging our folks, our children, to learn how to master the mother's tongue first, we are bombarding them and beating them on the head for not mastering either French, English, or Spanish. So this is unique and it's beautiful because her Basa is very, very authentic. She said, Jesus is my savior, and I shall not be moved. She said, my fist is planted by the river. And once the river is there, it will always nourish that tree. So our culture is that river that nourishes the tree. And as long as that river is there, that tree will always survive. Beautiful song.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that she able to profile that.
It's just that you blindsided me. I didn't know you were going to inject some degree of politics in it. But let me go to Judge Kenneth Tule. You're complete opposite.
Yeah, it's nice. The thing about it, about teaching our vernacular in schools, is that not every one of them is well scripted. And as a result, once you don't have the script, you can be able to teach it in an academic setting for others who are not native to such things to be able to learn it, the alphabets and everything. So it has to be, a system has to be introduced to be able to script the languages and make sure that they are all standardized and they can be taught to students. But it's a nice thing. I grew up with a lot of missionaries myself. There were some that were born with me because born around the same time I was born. We grew up playing football together. The Swedish, they were mostly from Sweden in the States. They were Swedish Pentecostals. So, and a lot of them could speak Kisi because they grew up among the Kisi people, and they had not only they had the nuances of the people that they live with. They had the values and everything. So
Mr. Tule, I'm just curious. Can you sing in any Liberian language?
I know some Loma songs, all right. But I mean, I know some Loma songs because we
Oh,
sang, we sang
oh,
Loma
okay.
songs at prayer.
Right. And I didn't mean just a gospel song, right? It could be
No, the only one, I hear the other ones, but I'm not too much interested in it.
eh,
I know
eh,
one of my cousins, he loved them. I I really couldn't care too much about them anyway.
why? Why? Anyway, let's leave that. Let me go to Mr. Cooney because Mr. Cooney grew up in Kawada in Sando County, and where in his school it was prohibited to speak the crew language. So this guy explained in crew, and he was reported. And because the guy couldn't, so when he went there, he won the case because the person who reported him couldn't even explain English. So he asked one question: "What my crew say?" And the guy couldn't answer it, so he was defeated. Mr. Cooney, just your reaction to Sister Carol Ann Allen.
Well, I mean, like the other panelists said, it is refreshing to see other people from different culture kind of projecting our culture when all we've done over the decades is the rejection of our own culture. Many people may not be aware that few years ago, it was a laughing matter for somebody to be dressed in African attire. Those of us that went to school in Monrovia, it was one of the shameful days you could face in the school is when your parents visited the school with their African lapa, with their African clothes. So that is the national disgrace that we continue to perpetuate in that country. That is a reflection of the lack of identity that we've developed as a people. At some point, you ask, who are we? There are some people who think that we are Americans. There are some people who believe that we are something other than actually who we are. We are Black people from Africa, from Liberia, and we all have our individual cultures that are very, very much enriching that we should appreciate. And then look, you take on the level, see how the people they denigrate things of indigenous origin at the expense of things that are foreign origin. To what extent do we denigrate our traditional societies, call them uncivilized, barbaric, but then we don't even question the Masons. We don't even question the Eastern Stars. So this is a reflection of what that country has been subjected to by the intelligentsia elite over the decades. And it is refreshing that, we are beginning to make a turnaround. We are beginning to make a turnaround. We are beginning to appreciate ourselves. And so I was excited. I was happy when I heard that song. The same way I'm always happy when I hear somebody singing in Loma, Pele, Crew, Bassa. And, if you ask me right now, I can tell you the song where we used to sing in Kabada, when we're quoting again. You quoting again, Meji Sembo Gio, Tolo Papa, to Nangwe Meji. That's a song you sing towards the girl that you're interested in. It's like, my girlfriend come towards me, oh, come to me, oh, come to me, oh. Meji Sembo Gio, Tolo Papa, to Nangwe. But when a guy in Montreal, I want to go sing that song, everybody will laugh at me in Montreal.
I wonder how many Menji you sang to. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. In our today's discussion, we're going to be looking at some hot button issues. And on top of our agenda today is the pomp and pageantry associated with the president's elaborate birthday celebration in Monrovia, using state resources, singing and dancing, playing the piano, and of course, dancing to the Ghana High Life, Ajwa. So we'll go around the room. We have many issues to deal with here. So let me start with Mr. Jerome Gibman. His reaction, by the way, he's an unapologetic sedition, but we don't, here at Focus on Liberia, we try to be level-headed. So let me hear from Mr. Gibman on the reaction to the president's birthday celebration.
Well, like we just discussed, our nation is a nation that is built on a tradition that it is Western. If you look back at the history of birthdays in Liberia, this would be considered a toned down when Tottenham's birthday was had, we had everybody wear their top hats, their black tuxedo in 120-degree heat, and they are walking around with their tailcoats, and there's party everywhere. Not only that, but everybody that work in the government will have some money cut from their pay to go towards the extravagance of these parties. So what we have seen there, why it was toned down considerably, where you were not required to wear a tuxedo, cummerbund, high tops, and be member of the Masonic Society to come to either the executive mansion or the pavilion that was exclusively geared towards certain folks. This was a party for all. And I like the manner in which it was held. Everybody was invited. You could celebrate as you are, you come as you are, and I think it was great.
Thank you. And what you see on the screen there is the birthday cake of President George Mane Bakuwuya. So let me go to George Tule. George, the birthday celebration, everything in between. What's your reaction?
It's a great thing when the president of a nation celebrates his birthday. It's a good thing. He is the top man in the nation, and everyone, politics aside, everyone will wish him, well, and give him great felicitations and best wishes. The only thing about it is that the whole thing wasn't properly scripted, and the carelessness that is portrayed it exemplifies how the office is seen and how it is handled. All right, because we're not just talking about any ordinary person, we're talking about the leader of a nation. And I was telling you guys earlier, the cake that was displayed for the president, if I was one of his minders and I went to pick up that cake, I would have left it with the person who made it, or if they brought it and I saw it, I would have sent it back and requested a refund. Because the first thing, that cake is not up to the standard of the office of the president. It's not well made. The decoration is shabby. It's embarrassing and disrespectful to the office of the president. This is not about politics. This is not because I disagree with George Weah. But I can tell you one thing, that there are cake makers in Liberia who have decorated a cake that everyone will have been proud of, and no one would make jest out of it. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing, before I leave it, one of the things he did during his birthday celebration was try to play the piano and to do a solo. He is his right to do it, but guess what? If I were one of his minders, I would have insisted that thing not go on Facebook. All right, because one of the jobs of his minders is to be able to speak the truth to him and tell him, no, boss, I don't care what you say. This is unacceptable. All right. And then let him fire you for it. But at least you go home with your conscience. And I mean, that's just what I want to say. It was good that he celebrated his birthday. It's been a tradition. President celebrated their birthday. When I was at Isaac Davis in the 80s, we had a tradition of Dole coming on the campus, even though the school belonged to the daughter of Toba, the man that he supposedly killed. But we always used to stand outside and sing happy birthday to him. On his way to LBS, he would always drive by our place and we would sing happy birthday when I was in middle school. Yeah. So it was a tradition that we had. So it's good to serenade and
before I leave you, it's a tradition. So you saying, should we continue on this, especially when you deploy state resources?
Oh, no.
That's supposed to be a private person or something.
Agree. The issue of deploying state resources to celebrate a private party, I have a problem with. The man got his own money. He got his salary. He got his allowances. Let him use the ones that he's been giving for his own upkeep to celebrate his party. But to have a grand bonanza and waste in the midst of generators going off our hospitals, basic implements not available to doctors and healthcare practitioners, no fire service and everything. Every time they spend money, these are the things I think about. So I'm in disagreement with that, but I'm in agreement with him celebrating his birthday.
Mr. Kune, the birthday and at the party headquarters, abuse of power there or trying to Your reaction to the birthday celebration?
Yeah, my reaction, but first of all, your unsupported claim that the birthday was sponsored by state resources. You know,
No, I say deploy state resources, the National Army, the police, all these people that are working.
my man, those resources are deployed whenever crowd gathers. The same resources were deployed during the ANC convention. So wherever crowd is gathered, you see resources of law enforcement infrastructure to preserve the peace, to maintain order. So I mean, I think it's a little bit below the belt, because if you use it like that, the implication is that like what my brother is saying, that state financial resources were deployed to facilitate the birthday celebration of the president. That's what it conveys. Nobody thinking about you talking about deployment of state resources to meet police and army. So we got to be very careful here how we make the claim. But the celebration of the president's birthday, the entire program, for me, it was not surprising. The president is the grassroots leader. He's the leader of the grassroots movement. The celebration proved that the masses are more than the elite. And so we can understand why the elite would be angry and anxious. The masses are way more than the elite. And so what you saw was the president celebrating with his people. There's nothing wrong with the president going to the party headquarters to meet partisans of his party to celebrate his birthday. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what is important is that during those that celebratory stages, you saw the thing that made the president unique. You saw the president of the country standing in the ring along with his partisans in a celebration. These are the kind of authentic grassroots attitude that make the grassroots to be attracted to this man. And the intelligentsia will never understand that, because they don't go through these things. They always in some restrictive environment. But you see the president standing with the people in the ring, the people coming, appreciating him and celebrating him, and he's enjoying his birthday. I mean, I'm a grown man. There are a lot of things I do, funny things on my birthday. You should go account to my 60th birthday. You will see some of the funny things that I do. So for people to take this thing serious, that even a private birthday celebration by the president, certain thing, it brings disrepute. You know that the Liberian people big English, disrepute to the office of the president. The man getting around, singing songs, dancing. You know, I find it really, you know, it's just some kind of absurdity for me on my part. But I think the celebration was great. The people celebrated the leader celebrated with his people.
All right. So you talk about the rain. Let me play before Leo comes on. Let me play that.
Good.
Hey, come on now, don't cut the song off.
Man, we enjoying the song. You cut the song off.
All right, let me go to here is the president in the ring. You know, I don't know what that portrays, but
you will never know.
Yeah, I would never know. Maybe some degree of, but anyway, that's the president. Also, we saw the president singing. I wish he was singing a Bassa or Cruz song. Here he's singing Ghana High Life, which is, you know, the lyrics of that song, from what I learned from my Ghana colleagues, is all Tabata talk. Mr. Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first of all, I would disagree with the panelists that have spoken before about this issue. I don't understand why people like to say these people are public officials, especially someone like the president of the republic. And at the same time, they like to say, oh, but the man was having his private thing. Anybody who knows about public life, the moment you step into the foray of public life, you no longer have a private life. Anybody who knows about public office, you don't take out the hat of being the president of Liberia at some point. You put it down and then you something else, and later on you wear the hat of being the president of Liberia again, you go back to the office. It doesn't work that way. You are always the president of Liberia, whether you are sitting in your private living room or you are sitting at the executive mansion. And here's what I would say. If I was advising President Weah, I would have preferred him have a private birthday celebration. What we saw yesterday was not a private birthday celebration. That was a public show of opulence in the midst of abject poverty, according to the CDC. This is not according to anybody else. According to the CDC own analysis of the state of affairs in the country that they are trying to fix as a government, that they are trying to try and rescue, their analysis of the situation is bleak. And that's why, according to them, they are fighting hard and doing their best to bring it to where it should be. How can you then contradict that by the opulence? This was not the president and his close friends, and, at his resort somewhere having a private event in honor of his birthday. This was a show of opulence across half of the entire city yesterday, at multiple locations happening at the same time. I really wish the president was standing in the rain when those young girls were demonstrating against rape that day when it was raining. I wish that was the occasion that the president was standing under the rain and not to receive gifts and praises. Standing in the rain to receive gifts and to be showered with praises and gifts, I would do that on myself. Where my real test of character is when I have to stand in the rain for an uncomfortable moment that I, who the leader, sometimes even share some responsibility in. That is when it really counts, in my opinion. But I would say, I'm not here to criticize or say the president should not celebrate his birthday or whatever. I'm just here to say it's a sharp contrast, giving the politics that we hear on one hand, that the country has been plunged into abject poverty, ruins by economy for the last 170-something years. And CDC now are picking up the pieces. And at the same time, we are seeing the flamboyant. No, nobody can argue President Weah is a wealthy man. That's not a debate. We know that. But to demonstrate this type of opulence when we cannot get proper garbage cleanup in the city of Monrovia, to demonstrate a type of opulence when poor people who all genuinely supports the president felt obligated that they had to demonstrate to the president that they love him on this day in such an opulent manner. Again, I think it sends the wrong message. I'm not saying personally.
Leo, let me chime in a little bit before you go ahead, because I got a call from someone who's close to the president, and he was upset that I think on the hour of politics, Mr. Asuni Sie, the political bulldog, he takes no prisoner. He was very vocal and criticized the opulence that you talk about. But now what he said was, well, whether the president celebrated his birthday or not, people are still poor. Whether the president celebrated his birthday or not, there is still no electricity in some quarters. So it doesn't make a difference, in other words. What do you say to that?
It actually does. I'm not even talking about the persistent issues that President Weah inherited. I'm talking about right now, they are all his problems. When you become president, it's no longer the person before you problems. You own that problem. You purchase that problem from that person willingly because you said you can solve it. So they're not Ellen Johnson Sirleaf problems anymore. It is president. And number two, as I speak to you, Mr. Jah, there was an ultimatum for the Buduburam refugee camp to be demolished on September 30th, with multiple Liberians and Liberian associations calling on the government to try and see what they could do. I haven't heard a word from the government of Liberia. There's been issues in Monrovia about the waves of insecurity. Some of the ritualistic killing has been manufactured and false. We've actually seen that. But there have been a lot of them that have been accurate and been true. The issue of insecurity in the country, rising fear in the population of Liberia. I'm yet to hear the president lead on that issue. So on his birthday, not to take it away from me, it is his birthday. But the demonstration of absolute opulence in the midst of abject poverty, for me, it is complete misinformation, misaligned with the
Mr. Jah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm coming to you. Let's go around for the last point here, and then we move to the next issue. But I want to throw in there. Leo mentioned it already, because I too am from the Buduburam refugee camp, where for the past 30 plus years people have been living on that camp. Is a lot of time we were being harassed by the Ghanaians, driving us. Sometimes they are coming to check for drugs. Now they are demolishing the camp and sending the people away on that same day when the president was celebrating. And on top of that, to see a Ghanaian president singing cruise song, you're never going to see that. A Nigerian president, because they take pride. The president, I wish he had used that time to sing a song by a local artist. That song would have been on the bill on the #1 list by now, and not Ajwa. So all these optics they look bad and present us because he's the leader of the country. If he doesn't show any concern for the camp being demolished and he's dancing to high life, I wonder what the refugees in Ghana would say. And this is not only we had problem. For 12 years, President Sully was there. There was no provision to bring our brothers and sisters home and make adequate provision for them. Now he's dancing Adjoa while their camps, where they've been driven away like flies. Mr. Gaiman, let's go around the room one more time on this issue and we'll move to the next. Starting with Mr. Gaiman.
Yes, Leo, and I have to differ with you on this. In fact, I was glad that the president had this particular celebration because when I tuned to Abuja TV in Bassa and saw the people dancing and having their celebration, when I look in Ganta and saw the people marching, and I look in Banga and saw the people, that tells me that this narrative about fear in the nation, that the nation is not safe, it is a flawed argument. The Monrovia that had 1.5 million people was upside down, and in other areas there were no security. People were doing their own thing. So these things about fear in the country, I think the president's celebration sent a loud message to the international community that the country is safe. The country is the city is just like any other city, like Miami, Washington D.C., Newark, New Jersey, Philadelphia. In fact, as of yesterday, Miami, my own city here, we have had 148 homicides in Miami, with nobody blaming Joe Biden, nobody blaming the governor. It is what happened when you had that many people in one space. So this thing about the president dancing when people are dying, it makes no sense. When we had 9/11 here, the president of the United States, George Bush, went on the air and said, don't let these people dampen our democracy, our constitutional democracy, our liberty. Go out and have fun, fly, dance, eat, party. That's what the leader does. So Mr. Weir did the right thing by telling the folks, look at me, I'm out here. It has saved thousands of people all over the city. And that shows to anybody that wants to go to Liberia, if the president can walk among his people, it is safe for any other person. So yes, I agree. We have been poor. We'll always be poor. We do not believe, the president does not believe in linear solution. You can walk, chew gum, and dance at the same time. These problems are been, and you're talking about the Bujumbura camp there. These things are diplomatic, and you know more about it. Maybe some of you know more about it than I do. But a diplomatic channel is not a switch that you just flip on and all calls are made, arrangements are made. When you talk about presidential optics, when I hosted Barack Obama here and Joe Biden, in the kitchen where he was making pizza, somebody came and picked him up. That picture went viral. Pick him up and swung in. They were dancing, having fun. The president of the United States. So where you guys coming from with all these very conservative, if not this far right-wing conservatism as it relates to the president being himself? This is a complete blasphemy of political chiefdom. Thank you.
Mr. Tule. Blasphemy of political what?
No, but you see, for me, I believe in being balanced. The president having party or not having party will not change the economic and socio-economic and socio-political state of the country. Right? It's just one of those things. The problem with President Weah is the abdication of his role. All right. It's like it's a combination of things. So if someone say, oh, he shouldn't have had a large scale celebration, and he should have reserved his celebration for and use the resources for other things, there's some veracity to that statement. Like I said, I would never beat on a president for celebrating his or people for celebrating the president or the president for celebrating his birthday. I'm not one to do that. But what I would say is the combined effect of the lack of leadership, of the abdication of the role of the presidency, the combined effect. You see, look across Africa, Magufuli, the late. Look at some of the measures he instituted and seen. And Tanzania is in a better socioeconomic place than Liberia. But look at what he did, the measures, the reforms that he brought to power, I mean, to bear when he became president, the conversation that he had with his people, and the examples he showed. The new Zambian president went to the UN General Assembly with a crew of 4, maybe 2 bodyguards and a assistant and himself. He didn't carry an entire jet plane to the UN General Assembly because. And guess what? Zambia is in a far better place than Liberia. Zambia has an air force with jets and everything. Zambia is far more developed than Liberia is. But this is a president who takes over a country and he's going to the General Assembly and he said that fanfare, that celebration, pageantry, pomp and circumstance that have been the mainstay of our political discourse. I'm going to put it somewhere else because we have work to do. Now, my thing here is President Weah has so much to do, and he's not providing the leadership. That is the point. Coming to your people is good, but guess what? I've always said this. President Weah, up to now, he still has a blank check that he can write in terms of how the people perceive him, the perception he establishes. Because one of the major things he needs to do is to start communicating with the Liberian people and be honest with them and tell them, say, look, this is where we are. We need to clean the city. Like Dio was saying, how can you boast about, how can you have a party? I'm just saying, I'm not stopping you from having your party, but Monrovia is very dirty. You know, I mean, look, I'm just saying something. When you wake up in the morning, it's like your house. That's why when I go to somebody's house and I see it dirty, I question the person's state of mind. It's like Monrovia, the seat of the government. The president goes up and down. You think he's not aware that the city is dirty? He's not aware that we have not put into play a garbage, solid waste management system in Monrovia? He's aware. You think he's not aware when homes are burning, when places are burning, that we don't have fire trucks to go, we got to depend on LPRC? Because by law, LPRC will have their own firefighting equipment as well as RIA. So these ones rush to come and help, and they leave their places of assignment. You think he's not aware? He's aware, but it's the application, is the lack of thought of these small things. I keep saying it. You don't have to do the greatest things, but just move the needle one day at a time with small things, and Liberian people will be grateful to you. But it's just an application of the role. He has neglected his opposition to Twe and McGill, and all they do to go to Washington, waste their time there when I think what's his name, Bio is signing memorandums and agreements and grants with the American people. Our people are there wasting time meeting Republican senators and lawmakers when the people in power don't really have too much to do with those people. Think about it. So he has a lot to do, but he's abdicated his role, singing Ajua and doing all these things. They are not the mainstay, man. Let's be honest.
Thank you, Mr. Kune. Abdicating his role and these optics, man.
Well, I don't know how does one celebrating his birthday equate to abdication of presidential responsibility. And you know, I sometimes find it funny when a panelist come here and throw around the names of countries that have solid foundation upon which their current leaders are building on or continue to build on. You know, sometimes like they will even make the reference to Ghana. Brother Jah, let me submit to you today. I traveled to Ghana 1994. That's about 30 years ago. The entire country was electrified. I traveled on the Kota Road from James Elebutan all the way to Lomé. So, you know, these countries, they already have foundation. And sometimes they come to so flippantly compare those countries to Liberia as if to say they in Liberia had the same beginning or they had the same foundation. You're talking about Zambia having an air force. Are you not aware of the many battles that Zambia fought with South Africa for the liberation struggle? And you're trying to compare Zambia military power to what you think Liberia military power should be? So these things are they are not comparable.
Zambia did not fight South Africa.
Hold on to that.
Zambia was one of the frontline countries that backed the ANC in the liberation struggle in South Africa.
And Mr. Kune, Liberia was one of those fighting for the liberation of Zambia.
On paper. On paper,
Okay.
we're not fighting with military, but back to my point. And sometimes, like, I hear Brother Leo talk about opulence. I'm still trying to find the opulence in the celebration. He said the assembly of the masses of people that is the opulence. Because I didn't see anything opulent taking place there except that people gathered to appreciate the president. So it said the gathering that make it look opulent, is that what we call it opulence? So I'm at a loss here. But the fact of the matter is, this is George Weah we're talking about. This man has been the source of criticism from the time he made his speech on the public stage. Whether it was in soccer, he was called a lazy dribbler that dribbled senselessly, and whether it was in Europe where he had to confront racism to prevail, he's always been criticized. The fact of the matter is he has always emerged stronger from these criticisms. So for me, the criticism of the president don't matter. If you want a president who will address the nation every evening, you should have elected Henry Bama Famula. You are in a race. You will have press conference, 3 days a week. The president told you he's not a public speaker. You will know a result from what. So this perpetual complaint. The president can't talk. The president can't talk. He already told you.
Mr. Kune, do you believe the president should speak to the people, or since he was elected that way?
The president does speak to the people when he deems it necessary to speak to the people, but not at your behest. Not
no, last time. Okay. Besides,
excuse me, Dennis.
Excuse me. No. I want to inject something so you can end. You will end, Mr. Kune. Don't get frustrated. The president, defending this kind of thing is difficult, but don't get frustrated.
Not difficult. It's not difficult because you guys don't want to hear the truth and keep interrupting me. Now I'm making it difficult.
No, don't let it be difficult, right? Somebody told me, because you're saying the president, it is not, we should wait for him. Whatever time he wants to speak to us, he should speak to us. Somebody watched him in his church. So he said, but wait now, the president will not speak to the people, but you go to the church and start throwing hints. He call it preaching. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Kune, one minute, real quick.
I got Mr. Kune's opinion.
When the president came from Ghana,
let Mr. Kune finish, Jerome.
Mr. Kune, when the president came from the ECOWAS meeting in Ghana, he gave a press conference. He met the people at the airport. He spoke eloquently on the issue. Isn't that speaking to the nation?
Tule and Leo want the president to speak on their time. I'm telling you.
Do not accuse me when I'm saying something.
I'm telling you, presidential speeches. Look, Daniel, let's be serious here. Presidential appearances, presidential speeches, presidential interview, even in this country, they are planned and they are done they are done based on the calculation of the White House or other people at the point where they think it will be effective. If you were to let the president will get on the radio anytime somebody die in Liberia. That's what he wants.
Hold on, Tule. Let Leo come in after Kune and conclude on this.
Go ahead. There's a frustrating part. Now
don't get frustrated, man. You on the floor, you see somebody here, you get confused.
So what I'm telling you,
so I go to Leo to conclude.
What I'm telling you, presidential speeches, presidential interview, they are all part of governance strategy.
Yeah.
They will not be done because Mr. Tule want the president to speak as soon as anybody die in Liberia. That's not how it is done. The president will speak to the country at the time he finds it appropriate and deem it necessary to speak. The president has conducted several interviews. The president has given many interviews. The president has spoken to the nation. But if you want a daily speech of 2-3 communist star hours, elect Bremen Family. You will get all kind of speeches.
Thank you.
One comment, Leo. Can I just make one comment before you come in?
Go ahead.
You know the reason why he doesn't talk much to the country? Because he has nothing to say.
Okay, that's your opinion. You entitled to that.
Hold on now. Thomas Sankara took over a country like Liberia. Yeah, I just want to say something.
Yeah, accuse people of doing something they are doing.
And he did not. Yeah, you come here, Leo. And he did not have to. He didn't have to.
Do not have a Thomas Sankara, my brother.
Mr. Kune, you interrupting.
Go ahead, Leo.
Yeah, no.
Every time because he had things to say.
I was just saying it's a bit disappointing that whenever we talk about President Weah, the people can add President Weah, only president for them. He's not president for us too. President Weah is president for the entire Republic of Liberia and all Liberians, whether you like him, you don't like him, you supported him or not, and he demands the respect of all of us Liberians, regardless of where you stand. He is all of us president. Let me say this: this is not about being against President Weah or for President Weah. When we have this discussion, even with the birthday situation, like I said, I will be honest with you, I have no problem with President Weah celebrating his birthday privately or personally or publicly. I was just saying, if I were to be advising, if you ask me, I would have done it differently. So let us not make it about President Weah was wrong to celebrate his birthday. He was right.
How different? Because you kind of saying two different things now. It's like, I don't have a problem, but I have a problem. So
no. That's not what I am saying. I am saying to you that President Weah chose to celebrate his birthday the way he actually chose to. I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have.
What would you advise?
I would have advised President Weah that on the day of your birthday, being the father of the nation, right, that is in the current state that it is, on that day of your birthday, I would have rather been maybe dedicating one new hospital, one new children's hospital, or I would have been giving something to the nation, giving back to a country that have given me so much. I would have been doing something symbolic to address a major issue on our hand. If you ask me, if I wanted to have a private party, I would have gotten my close friends or whatever to go to my house or whatever in the evening, sit with them, with my family members. And I'm saying me. I'm not saying President Weah should not have. President Weah is the president. He can choose to do whatever he wants in his wisdom that he chooses. But I would have done it differently. So this is not about people attacking somebody for being against President Weah. But let me get to the point here, Mr. Jai, about the president speaking. Is the biggest falsehood that people have told us that President Weah is not the talking type. That's not true. President Weah is actually very outspoken. He is actually the talking type. I go to Calasco live every Sunday. President Weah doesn't miss a beat on every Sunday. So how can you tell me President Weah is not the talking type, but he preaches for an hour long and then he addresses national issues in his sermon? It's not like he's just preaching and talking about his faith and the Bible and whatever. No, he actually brings the nation's affairs onto the pulpit. So I am saying, if President Weah feels that there is a need to address this issue in the service on Sunday in church, then why there isn't a need that everybody can go to your church, President Weah, to address the same national issues when the auditors die? President Weah did not speak about it until in his church on the pulpit. That was the only place he ever mentioned it. That's the only place we actually heard about President Weah mentioning anything about the auditor's death. Up to today's date, we haven't, and all the other subsequent deaths that happened. Now, I'm not here to say somebody killed him or somebody did not. I don't have overwhelming evidence to actually prove that, so I will not make that kind of claim. But if it was pressing enough for the president to speak about it on the pulpit on Sunday in his church, then how come it's insignificant for him to address it to the entire population and the nation? So I'm not here to argue about having press conference every 3 days a week or two days. That's not my point. My point is President Weah has been addressing issues pertaining to the nation on the pulpit in his church every Sunday. And that is not the right venue for addressing those issues. I think it should be addressed to the entire nation if he feels as president it's important to speak about those issues.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing hard issues going on in the country. The next issue we're going to go to is the CPP conventions or primary. Every time we select a new president, or before that, political parties are supposed to have a primary to select their standard bearer. The standard bearer will go on to contest the election. So in the CPP framework, they should have each constituent political party presented a standard bearer after whatever way they decide to select that standard bearer. Could be a primary, consensus, or what have you. So the United Party was the first to say we had our primary already. It was held 2017. And so this time we are not having any new one. What we're going to do is to endorse Joseph N. Boakai as our standard bearer. Quite recently, Mr. Cummings of the ANC had his primary, or was supposed to be a primary, and Cummings was chosen. Someone called it Cummings versus Cummings, and Cummings won. We're going to go around the room and start with these primaries. And we're coming from the background where we have something called political leader, which to some of us is lifetime standard bearer. So most of these parties, there's just one person, there is no opposition, and that person go on to be the standard bearer of the party. Again, this time we're not going to start with Jerome. We're going to start with Mr. Leo Johnson, political parties, the UP and the ANC, they have selected their stand-up bearers for each of those parties, and there's no primary. We don't see any opposition. What's your take on this democracy thing we're talking about here?
I've said this over and over, and you can criticize all you want, right? The ANC said they had their primaries or their convention, and like you said, they said it was Cummins versus Cummins, and Cummins won. I mean, there is something called winning on a white ballot. What are the level playing field was fair for there to have been contestant to contest against Mr. Cummins. That's a different debate you can have, which is a problem in the Liberian political field. Anybody who tends to have money and tends to wield the influence tends to be the people's favorite choice. We can talk about that particular discrepancy, but the fact is they did have a convention, and at that convention, the normal proceedings, formalities that would usually happen at any convention happened. The only difference is there was one candidate's name on the ballot, and that one candidate was Alexander Cummins, and he won. I will contrast this with the Unity Party, and that's not the first time that candidates have won at legitimate political party conventions on white ballot. By the way, it's happened many times before. There was a level playing field or not, we can debate that separately. But let's go to Unity Party as well. I think the mistake that Unity Party made, in my opinion, was to have an endorsement party than a regular special convention as well. If Joseph Walker was the only obvious candidate for their standard bearership, there was absolutely no problem with implementing what is the laid down procedure. So just go ahead, cast their ballots, all your delegates vote for Vice President Walker as their standard bearer. But changing that into an endorsement and people arguing that, he was already elected standard bearer for the 2017 elections. We know you can be elected standard bearer for 2 elections in a row. We know that is not possible. That would be the first of his kind heard. So if you was elected as standard bearer for 2017 election, clearly then you need to have a convention to determine the standard bearer for the next election. Let me speak about the political leader issue. Only in Liberia, I've seen that phenomenon, political leader. I haven't seen any other democratic country that I know of. Anybody here can correct me if I'm wrong. All of the other, I've been looking for it. Actually, I spent some time over the last 6 months just researching to see if this was something common. In many other, it's not common. No, they only have standard bearers. Usually, they don't have political leaders. So this is a unique phenomenon to Liberia. Like you said, Mr. Ja, it has obviously given them even power within the constitutions of these parties. So they're gone beyond standard bearers now and cemented this title as a constituted title within their constitution. But I will close on this to say, you cannot be asking people to take over power who want to see the change that they are calling for, and they are not able to demonstrate the same change that we say President Weah is not demonstrating. I've said this over and over. So if I was in any opposition party, you will start doing simple things that according to our election laws, you can't keep violating our laws. Where are your audited financial reports? Our election laws demands that political parties must publish financial reports. It's not an option. That's what election law says. If the CPP is not able to do a financial and progress report to respect the laws of Liberia, then how can we be making a strong argument that you want to correct the thing that CDC is not able to do also? And the government, how will you manage the budget properly when you can produce a financial report for a small conglomeration of political parties? So I'm making the argument that it's time to demonstrate leadership and not time to give us all these flamboyant political talks about political leaders and lifetime standard bearers.
Mr. Kune.
Well, that is Liberia. We can't do the same thing over and over and expect the same result. But apparently, that's what the opposition is offering, doing the same thing over and over. I've always said when the opposition is on fire, to be honest with you, it don't even bother me. They don't take advice from me. But I agree mostly with some of the points that Leo made. That you cannot build a case as a government in waiting by all of the undemocratic maneuvering that you're carrying out. Now, true to the ANC, at least they gave the appearance of a convention. They gave the appearance of a convention, true to the ANC. The other matters can be examined later. Coming wrong, coming wins. But at least they gave the appearance of a convention. And this is why sometimes when I come here, I say, maybe the only person in the opposition that may offer anything new is Alexander Cummins. But when I say it, they say, it's a CDC propaganda. How can you take somebody who took the party to election and lost in the election? He lost the election. And this person now is the automatic standard bearer. You put him on automatic role. They say now the standard bearership, it got term. He's supposed to be standard bearer for 6 years. The man lost the election. And you go endorse him in a living room as standard bearer. So now he's standard bearer for life. Because he's standard bearer for this election, the next election, he's still standard bearer for the next election. So, Dennis, we keep seeing the opposition don't have any alternative to the current government. All they are concerned about, they think that the failure of George Weah will be so much that they will march to power on the failure of George Weah for the sake of their own power. There is no vision for the country. They don't have any contrasting vision for the country that reasonable people can even look at and say, you know what, this is what the government is doing, this is what the opposition is proposing. So you see the confusion that has engulfed the opposition community. Can you imagine opposition people buying lobbyists for image branding? This is the first time I hear about it. For an opposition member to hire lobbyists in Washington for image enhancing. We're talking about the issues that face the people. You say you want to leave because the current government is not responding to the issues. Instead of responding to those issues, you're paying people to build your image. That tells you a lot. And that is the kind of thing that is going on in the opposition. And this is why sometimes, this is why we are so confident. Very confident when we make the first round prediction. It's not a boast. This is not a delusion. The Liberian people will look at George Weah and his records, and they will look at what this opposition is doing. And they will have absolutely no problem in making a decision.
Thank you.
If the opposition to George Weah is based on the kind of cake that is prepared for his birthday, or the kind of music that he sings for his birthday, or the kind of shoes, or whether he womanizing, whether he going to Jamaican resort, if those are the things that in the opposition arsenal, then we in the CDC, we are happy to have that debate.
Oh, you're in the CDC?
Yes, I'm in the CDC. You think why can every day I talk about CDC?
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Tule. Mr. Tule, starting with Unity Party pre-primary. Or you select a standard bearer for 2 terms. Let's start with that.
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to go, sometimes when I wish that Mr. Cooney can listen to himself with all his different contradictions. George Weah contested in 2005. They had to beg him to allow Winston Tubman to contest in 2011, and he went as vice president. Something he cried and all as he stepped aside, and then he was white ballot again in 2017. So don't come and hold Joe Buckeye for losing 1 election when George Weah lost 2. Okay, so let's go to the issue here. For me, when I talk, I like to dispense with the crap. There's no need to go around faking anything. Do other nations have political leaders? They don't call them political leaders, but it takes a long time for someone to step aside as the main front runner in political parties across Africa. Is a standard. When somebody becomes the front runner, it's not just because the person becomes the political, especially for major parties. That means the first thing the people look at, the person access, the person ability, the person access to cash, and the person leadership. So when the person steps at the forefront, Morgan Changarai, Dana, what's his name? Ruta, the deputy president of Kenya, or even Uhuru. Or if you go to other nations where if you just check around, Kufuor, not Kufuor, what's the guy? Yeah, was it Kufuor? The old man. The old man was Kufuor before the old man became president. He played his role in as leader of his party. It takes time for these things to shift over. It takes time for them to shift over. What I'm saying is, in Africa, across Africa, when Babo, for instance, is back in Cote d'Ivoire, he's the leader of his party. That everybody will step aside because this man is the most electable. This man is the most popular. This man has the best chances. The reason why nobody is going right now to contest with Joe Buckeye for the Senate bearership of Unity Party. The reality is, how many persons within the billowings of all the organization of Unity Party is electable.
Right.
But they have the convention. So just go ahead and have the convention. Then what's stopping
No. What I'm saying is, instead of wasting all that time, because look, I'm not saying look, optics say go ahead and have the convention. That's what optics say. But instead of, because the thing, they ask the question, who come in contact, who won't waste the time to print t-shirt to the lobby and how you call it?
You had an endorsement party just to make the convention.
So
yeah, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, instead of going through all
no,
that,
what do you say about that endorsement instead of convention? What do you agree with that?
No, I don't. But my point here is, whether I agree with it or not, if you ask how many person can be stand right now and look at Joe Buckeye and say, because the first thing will be like, except it is something that comes from in the house where they agree.
Look,
for the
but
purpose of
George, what they are saying was he was elected standard bearer 6 years ago, and he still stands. Does that make any sense?
No,
All right,
it doesn't. But let me say this to you now: the whole process here, if the man is the leader of that party, let me tell you, except for instance, Jerome Gayman comes, or we in house and we say, okay, we're going to do this thing. Where Jerome Gayman no, man. Let me hear my ear. Where Jerome Gayman will come and agree. You know, after we agree that Jerome Gayman will become a candidate on the ticket, or he will be a candidate so that they can go through the what's the word? What's the word, man? God have mercy. Just to go through the formalities, right? Mm-hmm. So, except that is done. If I'm a political leader and in the way it's done in Liberia, and then Leo say he's coming to contest on that ticket with me for the primaryship for the Senate bearership of the party, he becomes my enemy right away if he's not agreed, if it's not something that is agreed on. Or the young, but if the party setup will go against him and turn him into an enemy.
Like I get your point on that.
Dennis, quickly.
Even under Doe, when Francis went against Doe, I think Francis didn't even vote for himself, so he has 0.
And that's the whole
Dennis,
yeah, Mr. Cooney wanted to go to Mr. Gayman, but the two of them
quickly, my brother Tule is so amusing. When it comes to George, where the optics are very, very important. But when you go to Joseph Boaga, the optic doesn't really matter. It's just a formality. You know, you are very interesting. But let me just make one quick point that you made. George Weah has become standard bearer of the Congress for Democratic Change once. Only one time he became standard bearer. That was the 2005 election. The next election, Winston Thurman was the standard bearer of the CDC. Mm-hmm. In 2017, George Weah emerged as a standard bearer from the coalition of political parties now called the Coalition for Democratic Change. Get that straight. Get it straight.
Hold on, Tule. Let me go to Jerome now. It was Jerome who said Cummings versus Cummings won. Jerome.
Yeah.
Let's look at the UP and the ANC primaries.
Right. Well, I tell you what. You see, we are product of our surrounding and product of our orientation. If you saw how Darrell Dillon came into power, I think it was recently that Talia Uri and Mona Fahad came out of the chute, and they said, where were everybody else when you went and picked Darrell Dillon? Did we primary him? There were a lot of other people that were suppressed, and they made that claim. But the reason I'm saying this is I see the obstacles here, I see an opportunity here. The CPP, because in Liberia, the only reason why one political person is the head and they call it leader and they call him, what they call him, the vision bearer, is usually because that person is the only person with money. But in the CPP, we are looking at men with a lot of money. So if they were able to be democratic enough to have the Euros of the world bring their resources to the table to compete against the Cummings of the world, against what's the other man, the Cassels of the world, and even Joseph Boakai, he has his own money. We could actually see where resources can compete with each other and the winner will win, as opposed to just selecting. So I see an opportunity here where one person, like in the CDC per se, where George Weah is the only money man. When you go into the ALP, where Euro is the only man, but in the CPP here, we have 4 great guys with a lot of money that could actually compete to give us democracy. So I'm seeing an opportunity here that if they hold together, this could actually, in the long run, produce a real democracy for us, because these are people who will not be constrained by wealth, because you got people like Musa Ability, you got a lot of money on the other side. So I think democracy may emerge if they don't fall apart, and it may benefit the Liberian people in the long run.
So in 2017, it was George Weah versus George Weah, and George Weah won too, right? Just to be
But
sure.
what else?
Primary.
No, listen to this. In the 2017, there were several people, even this gone primary with 25. Well, listen to this. With Thomas Fala, this gone 2020 election.
I said George Weah.
No, I'm coming to this.
Okay,
George,
right,
they have other folks because we have somebody from the NDPL, that the Child Taylor folks. They had their own folks. Okay.
Why the formality not important by George Weah?
One thing you can get from me is hypocrisy. One thing anybody can get from me is hypocrisy. I will not look. I won't sit down here to criticize something when I know everyone is doing it. Everyone is doing it. How it's done in Liberia. Tomorrow, if I get enough money and I'm able to build a political profile in Liberia, and I become highly visible, and everybody know that this guy has, especially in the way it works in Liberia, I got to lose 1 or 2 elections for the book and look at me. So the newcomer there, if you want to contest the party primary against me, when I have already been there, I have lost twice. He will most likely waste his money. We're going to prime pool, eat money, and then I will end up. So point just say, okay,
no, that's fine. But let's go through the process. But here is a video of Mr. Cummings at his convention. All right. Mr. Cummings has popularized, or we call it his mantra now, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Mr. Cummings now, like any other political leader, is dancing the same song, he hurting them. Doing the same thing. They are having a primary where he alone is the standard bearer. He alone is Cummings versus Cummings. Let's look at Mr. Cummings, because a lot of Mr. Cummings, or Mr. Cooney, you have said it here that if any change going to come, it's going to come from Mr. Cummings because he's different.
Yeah, but
what do you say now? Is he not doing the same thing and expecting different results?
Well, that's the difficulty of the Liberian terrain. But before you go there, let me just point to the video that you just showed. The video that you show is the duplicity of the elite. You know, Cummings dancing, nobody talk about it. Nobody screamed that Cummings is dancing.
But that's why I played the video for you to see. You said nobody.
We are dancing with partisan. Hold on.
You said Cummings is dancing, and you said nobody is calling it.
We are dancing with partisan to Tule. It is beneath the office of the president.
No, Mr. Cooney,
can you imagine? Can you
it
imagine
is
this
beneath,
kind of misrepresentation of
all of these things? But yeah, Cummings. So the thing about Cummings is, like I said, the Liberian political terrain, is very difficult to navigate, and he's understanding the terrain. I mean, in every political interaction, the people will come to you, and you have to find a way to identify with the people. And this is why some of us will understand George Weah do the things that he do, because George Weah is of the people, and George Weah is authentic when he's interacting with the people. So. But answer me thing. Look, to be honest with you, the entire CPP, none of them has been in a competitive environment. Bweka in his life never went through competition. Never. Benana Ure never went through competition. Musa Ability or whoever never went through competition.
What does that have to do with governance?
Well,
what does that have to do with governance?
Hold on, Mr. Tule.
So the only person that understands competition in that among that group is Alexander Cummings, based on the assumption that he's worked in his environment that is competitive. If you work when you work in a competitive environment, and Tule, competition produce the best. That's what competition does. It leads to people making best choices. If someone who has never competed before just get everything by some kind of different consideration, they've not shown talent anywhere. They get to where they are by different consideration. So the only person in the CPP that may have some level of competition is Alexander Cummings. He knows what competition is.
May I respond, Dennis? He called my name, so I got to respond.
No, respond to Cummings.
There's an issue here. There's an issue here. He lied on me, so I have to really respond. He said I am against, and we are dancing with his people. That's a categorical lie. What we have said here is this: we are against you having your jolly, but do your work first. What we have said here is
now you have extended the goalpost.
He has not prioritized his constitutional and fiduciary duties to the Liberian people. He has not done his job. Everything is going, the economy is in a state of disrepair. It's getting worse every day.
What's your plan?
System, hold on, Mr. Kuni, you were talking, I gave you a chance. Our healthcare system is bad. Okay, hospitals lack simple fuel for the generator.
Are you saying we should dance only when the hospital system is
good? Listen, let me tell you something. When you have merriment, it normally comes after fulfillment.
Come on, George.
Thank you.
You know what we are? Listen, this is what the Bible says. The Bible says they say out of the abundance of a man's heart, his mouth speaks. The reason why we are dancers all the time is because that is what is abundant in his heart. Okay, he's not speaking, but his action comes out of the place of his heart. What is more prevalent in his heart? All he cares about is enjoyment. He abdicates his role. That's what we're saying.
Thank you. Let me go to Jerome. Jerome, if you look at Cummings, because the last time Cummings had consistently been accused of being like a stranger. He doesn't know the terrain. So the first time he appeared, people carrying hammock, and the uptake was so bad that people say, "Oh, what is he doing now?" Cummings is with the people and he's dancing. To you, does it look like is his natural self? Is it something that is out of character, or has he learned the system to see how things go? When you look at him dancing, what comes to you?
Well, listen. The man is, like I said, we are all part of our environment, and he's a chameleon. He can adapt. Okay,
that's who politicians are, right?
Yeah, the man changing colors, and you have to blend in. But let's give him credit. The gentleman came. They say when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. If you go to Batam, they hanging upside down. And you fly straight, something is wrong with you. So he decided to hang like bats. He decided to do the same thing. In fact, when he came, he told us in one of his first speeches that he's not going to be like the national corrupt politician. He will not hang with those who are politicians and corrupt. And one of the things that he did that actually dampened his credibility was when he lifted the hands of Brandon Samokai and said, "This is the man in whom I put my trust." And then we have a gentleman who has been convicted. The only person in the Republic of Liberia that was convicted in the lower court and affirmed by the Supreme Court that he's a convicted felon. And yet this man who denies all corruption and all felons in the country, lifting this other man's hand, like I always said, where Tip O'Neill used to say, everybody likes their own crooks. This man is saying George Weah is corrupt, Ure is corrupt, Boyka is corrupt, but this guy who, and remember, Boyka and all of these people have never been convicted. It's only in the court of public opinion. Brandon Samaka is the only person that has been convicted in the court of law and affirmed by the Supreme Court. But yet instead, he held his hand and said Boyka is corrupt, Joya is corrupt.
What's your point?
Corrupt. So yeah, this man, even though he has learned the real way that to do business in Liberia, you have to be corrupt and be corrupt to the core. And he is not basically a damaged character. and now he would be just like a regular politician, and he have
No,
not set himself
no,
apart.
Mr. Gamer, let me hold you there. Who you talking about? Who is now corrupt and what's the evidence?
You asked me about Mr. Cummings.
Right.
When Mr. Cummings came, actually her mantra has been, this was what it was, clean hand. I have not had any issue with corruption. I don't hang out with corrupt people, and I'm never going to do that. But then he turns around. Not only did he accuse everybody else of being corrupt, those who were convicted in
Are you saying Cummings lifted Brandon Samuka's hand?
Yes.
When did that happen? It was Joe Boakai, right?
Didn't you see Cummings in Lofa County campaigning for Brandon Samuka, a member of the CPP?
Probably I missed that. But let me go to Mr. Leo Johnson.
Yeah, Mr. John, first of all, I just think we shouldn't be discussing Cummings dancing. When we talk about comparing the politics and substantial issues of the day, I don't care about those things. I'm talking, for me, I'm focused on the substance of the matter as to who can deliver on the economy, who can deliver on security, what is happening with our healthcare system, what is happening with our education system. I don't care. Look, if you can do the substantial things that matter and you want to stay all night and dance on your backyard, the only reason you are hearing people criticizing or having complaints about President Weah celebrating all of this is not because it's bad. Even if they were them, they would do. Even I myself, who doesn't love to celebrate? We all do. Let's be honest. The only reason people are complaining is because they feel the substantial issues that really matter have been abandoned, and the jolly is what is taking over. Mm-hmm. That is what people feel. So people are going like, okay, the jolly, not the une side. If that the jolly, everybody won't pay attention to and forget about the substantial issues that are plaguing the country. Again, I'm saying this is the perception and the reality that people are dealing with. So people are like, why would I go? I say the same thing about July 26th every year. Why are we having flamboyant celebrations of July 26th when all of us agree that we have 174 years of failures? That's why everybody says, both the government people and the opposition people say we've had 174 years of failures. But then on the morning of July 26th, the pomp and pageantry, we pretend like we are the greatest nation on planet Earth on July 26th morning. So for me, I want to see the platform, whether it's Cummings or Boakai, whoever emerges as the standard bearer of the CPP. I'm waiting to see the substance of their platforms. I'm also waiting to see the report or evaluation of the PAPD. That was the document that the CDC government swore by. And I read it. Most Liberians did not read it. I took my time to read it. I'm still waiting for the 1 million people that were going to be uplifted from abject poverty. Right. I'm still waiting for over 1 million jobs that were going to be produced by the government. Those are the things I will be evaluating when I'm looking at it, because that is what, and the CDC government did not revise that. Even with COVID came and everything, they stuck to it. They said they are able to deliver on the PAPD and they are delivering on it. So for me, I care less. If Cummings wants to dance, the same thing we say, if we can't criticize George Weah for having an opulent birthday party and the CDC people, saying we shouldn't, the president has the right to actually do that. I think I would do it differently. Then Cummings wants to dance his socks off and take off his shoes. He should dance his socks off. I just want to see the platform to be able to evaluate it.
Mr. Johnson, here's the point that I brought up the dancing, because Cummings has a mantra that says doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. What are the politicians doing? They are having one person stand in the party as the standard bearer. The second thing is all of them are doing this militancy and they are dancing the same song. Somebody hurting you. So Cummings, so the issue here is he's doing the same thing. That's why I wanted you to look at that dance.
So let me just look at it from this angle. The dance, particularly, I will not look at. I'm on the record for criticizing, including the ANC and all political parties, for militarizing our young people, calling them militants. No political party recruits young people instead of training them to be the next best speakers, speech writers, and political commentators, economists, like policy wonks. Instead, they are training them to be militants and act and making them to behave in a violent manner. All political parties, including the government itself, they are all, in fact, they got a blue army now with a bunch of CDC militants moving around town. So I agree with you on that point, but I didn't want to reduce it to just the act of dancing, because a small thing like that song has many interpretations, some of which can be positive to bad people. If it is about bad people doing bad things and somebody does something good on the other side, you can say, yeah, this small good thing we do like it hurting bad people. So I didn't want to reduce it to the dance particularly. I wanted to reduce it to the main substance issues, Dennis, that I think you are referring to. like what these political parties have done wrong over and over. And ANC has said the same thing. ANC, I'm still waiting for their financial report to respect the laws of Liberia so we can see what the difference that you're making compared to those that have been on the scene.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the Liberty Party, remember, first, Mr. Darius Dillon referred to the chairman, Musa Belete, has Saul turned to Paul. Later on, when things got heated up, he said, well, this man is acting like a BM who has bad money. He put it in the bank to clean it, and now he goes back to the bad money. I mean, it's being rough in the Liberty Party. Of late, we saw them having a meeting to say, right now, this is reconciliation. So we've all reconciled. When we come back from our break, we're going to talk about the Liberty Party reconciliation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are Liberians.
We are Liberians, and Liberia is our home. We're going to be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus.
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. This is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In today's edition, we're going to talk about the top button issues in our country. Now, let's look at the Liberty Party. Things are being very heated up in the Liberty Party. In fact, the chairman was accused of forging their constitution. And a lot of things said against. So you have the political leader, Senator Yombli Kanka, and Darius Dillon on one end, and you have the chairman on the other end. Things were very heated up, and now they've had a meeting and said they are now smoking peace pipe. I'm going to put some pictures on the board, and we'll discuss that. Is it really happening? Has the damage been done already? Are they really able to come together now as one people and forge ahead to defeat George Weah? Or is this just fake? Let me start with Mr. Cooney.
Well, listen, if the reconciliation, if it holds, if it is true, I think that spells bad news for the Unity Party. It spells bad news for Ambassador Boyka, because in a four-way coalition, you have two of the parties that are committed to block voting. The ALP and the Unity Party. These people don't want to release the delegates to make their individual decision. They want to vote by block. And then you had the Liberty Party that are kind of like a little bit split on the issue along with the ANC. So if the Liberty Party is coming together under the leadership of Musa Belete, who is believed to be a supporter of Mr. Cummings, then in my view, the ANC and the Liberty Party are going to stand against block voting. And I don't know where it will carry the CPP, because you have the four parties equally splitting on the issue. But if they were to be forced to a situation where they would do away with the block voting, it will spell trouble for Ambassador Boyka, because I don't see him emerging. I don't see him emerging in an environment with about 1,200 delegates representing all of the parties for the competition to be between him and Alexander Cummings. I don't see Ambassador Boyka emerging out of that situation. And that has been the fear of the Unity Party, hence their fanatical defense of the black voting system. So I think Ambassador Boyka is going to be a casualty of whatever reconciliation that is taking place in the Liberty Party.
You're muted, Dennis.
You are muted, Dennis.
Sorry, Mr. Tule, you are a member of the Liberty Party, even though you have not been able to pay your dues as you admitted.
He was suspended for not paying due.
And the CPP has the same problem. They say some constituent member parties are not paying their dues. But
that's the reason why they get the financial reports.
but Mr. Tule, first of all, do you believe these guys can come together again?
I think it's a done deal. The people sign a memorandum of understanding. They have an agreement. It's not just there are men. I told you here before. I said there are men and women in Liberty Party. They may not be visible, but there are people who can call Musa and say, "Come and sit down. This thing you're talking, cut the crap. Cut the crap." We'll go through the process and we'll have a reasonable solution at the end of the day. And you know, Sakuni is committing some serious error here again. He's speaking about what he really doesn't know about. Okay, let me tell you something. In the executive committee of Liberty Party or the party as a whole, if you took a spot poll, went around asking between the two front runners in the CPP, that's Cummings and Bokar, who do you support? You'll find overwhelmingly 95% of Liberty partisans will tell you say they support Joe Bokar. I'm saying this because I support Joe Bokar. But we have to go through the process that have been agreed upon and laid out and established. We have to follow it through to its logical conclusion. Everybody will have the right to go out there and lobby and try and get the delegates to vote on their side. The reality is this. Cummings is at a loss. The only hope for Cummings in that whole agreement right now is Liberty Party. That's why you see they have tried and done all the shenanigans and everything to get Liberty Party to go on Cummings' side, because as I'm telling you, Ure is already in the camp, is already an acolyte of Joe Bokar. Okay? Right. If I will use that word.
Yeah, but Tule, when Ure is using your word acolyte of Joe Bokar, what does it have to do with the other partisan of the ALP?
But no. But you got to understand now, the people who are in the ALP, like we're saying, I don't like to discuss politics in Liberia like we're talking politics in America. Okay, politics in Liberia is person driven.
So wherever Ure goes, the rest go.
Yeah. So my point here, as long as Ure is leaning towards this man, and that is where everyone, even when you go and read his daughter's postings and everything, there's no pretense here. I don't want us to pretend like there is an open process. With ALP, if you went today and say, ALP, who you support, Bokar Cummings, it's not. When you and myself was looking at it as a process, it's not a process. The man already talking to the man. The man already leaning on the man. So
obviously, Ure is going to select delegates that are going to do whatever he says.
Agreed. It's just the reality. And then in Liberty Party, it's 50-50 if you want to look at it from that perspective. But I can tell you the truth. If you ask the political leader, you ask most of the parties, I know who all the people who I talk to, they're not leaning Cummings' way. It's just the reality. And the truth here is we have an agreement. The CPP agreement has a framework. We found out that the issue with the framework was not as it was purported to be by some accusers. All those things I told you are within the birthing pains of an organization. We will go through this, but I'll be frank with you. All of the two are already clearly in Bokar's camp. The only reason why we're having the conversation about Liberty Party is because ability is leaning towards Cummings, because his political patron seeks to make sure that if the Liberian people don't want George Weah, then it has to be Cummings. The reason why is because she doesn't want any legal scrutiny. She doesn't want her government audited. She doesn't want what's the name of the thing? The World Economic.
These are assumptions.
It's not assumptions. I'm telling you, because she had meetings. The reason why I'm saying it's not an assumption. Let me just go back quickly. Before Ability became the head of the chairman of Liberty Party, Manaseli was in the picture.
Yeah,
Manaseli was in the picture. Why was she in the picture? Because she's saying that she wants Cummings, and that assumption is the reality. And I can tell you today, if Cummings will find excuses why he cannot audit Madam Salif, why he cannot work towards establishing the war.
And Joe Bokar will. Anyway, let me go to Leo. By the
Yeah.
way, we have our phone lines connected. You should call and have your views here. We'll give you like 30 seconds, but please call in. The numbers are on the screen there. Go ahead and call. Mr. Politics in Liberia is if you and myself even run against each other, we have bad blood.
Yeah.
With all the things these guys have said to each other, starting with the Liberty Party and in the CPP, can they really come together, or who are they trying to fool here?
It's interesting. There are a few things I'll say first. I tell Josh Tule, you should be afraid. And if what you're saying is true that Madam Shali supposed comments, then I think Boakai just got a bigger uphill battle to climb.
yeah.
If it is true, I would say then I would see it very difficult as to how Boakai will emerge, because Madam Shali still wields a massive influence, even in the very Unity Party, before I talk about the whole political landscape in the Republic of Liberia. So I don't have any evidence to that, so I just wanted to make that comment. But let's go to the real issue here. It's really shameful to see elderly people, I will call them, because all of them are either over the 50s or already close there, behaving first of all like children and then coming for public spectacle to say they are
Don't do this age thing. I've just turned 50.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Ja. I will take it back. I don't want to get in trouble with my host here, so I will take it back. But it's sad to see people making a spectacle on social media, talking about they're having a reconciliation meeting, letting us know that they have decided to stop acting like children. And, like adults, happy to inform the whole country that, we've decided now finally to behave as we should be behaving, as is expected of us. I'm sad that we shouldn't be there in the very first place. When you take over the leadership, or whether it's a political party or any institution of that serious nature, that is a government in waiting, that has the potential of becoming a government, then there's no play. Why would we hold President We are at the scrutiny and level that we hold him and chastise him, and you expect that we should do any less? If what is happening now was happening with President We are, it would be help. Like, we all know that. So then why are we excusing people? No, we should hold people accountable. I think what is going on, I find it hard to believe that there will be any trust. I will tell you this. I think it's a show for social media that Liberty Party is showing, because people will only do things because if it is politically advantageous for them. It's not because anybody over there trusts anybody. They will be digging knives in each other's backs as they are going about it. And I will ask George, are you sure that all of the 1,200 or all of the 300 delegates from Unity Party and from ALP, are you sure they are going to cast it for Ambassador Boakai? If I've learned anything about political conventions and what happens in the hall, and how, what I call it, brown envelopes or whatever you want to call it, how machinations work, I would dare you, all the delegates from Unity Party would not vote for Ambassador Boakai.
It doesn't have to be all.
I'm just coming. I will even dare you that it could even be slashed into a significant number, because at the end of the day, people have learned in Liberia that when politicians win, they only cater to their people, then those are close around them. So while we're a delegate who coming from all the way Zwedru or all the way Tapeta, coming to Morovia, we have somebody approach them with a very lucrative offer, if that is the case, with a very lucrative offer. And then somebody say, I know me at that in Liberia that I know today. Even the political leaders, they have accepted brown envelope to switch allegiances. Even chairmen of the political parties, the very people that are saying, no, we support Ambassador Boakai. Most of them, we saw it during 2017 election. Liberty Party, the chairman and hierarchy of Liberty Party dumped Ambassador Boakai and ran to President George Weah. So for you to say here to them, put your hand on the chat people and telling me, say, or whoever you pick, the person will go and vote for Ambassador Boakai. I would say to you, it is the biggest miscalculation in Liberian politics. And you watch and see, if it comes down to individual delegates voting, the chances of Ambassador Boakai winning both Unity Party and ALP will significantly be reduced.
I'm a man. I love a good wager. I sit here, I win basketball wagers all the time. They put the money in my account. Let me say this to you.
Mr. Tule. Hold on, Mr. Tule, because even in the House of Representatives, the Senate, we see brown envelopes causing people to sway their vote. So, so don't bet on that. Somebody will eat your money. Let me go to
I love a good wager, and I love a good wager. So Leo and myself, we can do it oftenly. Joe Boakai will not just win. I'm saying to you today, if the CPP can hold together, that coalition can hold together until they get to the place where they have a convention where the different political leaders will vie for the candidacy of the CPP, the joint candidacy, and one is selected, or elected, I'm telling you today, categorically, that Joe Buckeye will emerge. Because the first thing, Joe Buckeye is not in the picture.
Tule. Let me.
He's not in the picture giving money. He's not in the picture canvassing people. It's not. Look, this thing about Joe Buckeye is
Mr. Tule,
driven.
we'll have a different show on Joe Buckeye because this thing you're saying about Joe Buckeye, he has not demonstrated them anywhere.
Can we drop the black voting?
Right. I mean, this man just had an endorsement ceremony. No. So if you tell me that this man is honest, I mean, he can't bribe people. He can't
anybody from Unity Party say
right.
They disagree with the endorsement ceremony? Let me ask you the question.
What?
Have you heard anybody from Unity Party say, because it's been days now?
That should be the problem, right?
I've heard people from Unity Party kick against block voting because they don't want anybody to tie their vote. They want to have the freedom to cast their ballot.
I agree, but I'm not kicking against block voting. I ask you a question.
So why they're not comfortable voting in a block?
The issue of Joe Buckeye being white balloted into.
There was no white ballot for Joe Buckeye.
Have you heard any acrimony coming
There
out
was
of the
no
process?
white ballot for Joe Buckeye. There was Unity Party endorsement ceremony. There was a protest of Unity Party youth. There was a protest at endorsement ceremony.
And guess what? I can tell you, the people who are protesting are those who have been reached, and they have nothing to do.
All right. Thank you. Those things will never get to it. Let me go to Jerome.
Leo, I operate in Liberia. I know how it works. You just gather the people organization.
At least the public decided to disrupt the endorsement ceremony to show their disapproval.
No, it means somebody
bought them. Mainstream of the party.
But they are part of the party, right? You said anybody in United Party. You said I should show you anyone in United Party.
I'm not saying something today. I told you. Those who are going to make that final determination, you said there will be some among those.
So why they can put their
hold on, Leo.
Tule, no. We got to go to Jerome. We got to go to Jerome because I mean, what you are pushing, we can't prove it, and there's no record anywhere in Liberia that because there is even if there is no discontentment in the Unity Party, that itself is a problem that they've been suppressed. But let me go to Jerome.
Yeah. Thank you very much. First, let me just dispel some of Mr. Tule's fiasco here. First of all, I don't know where he's coming from by saying wherever the leaders go, everybody will follow. When we saw the situation in Nimba with Tar, where the Tar, what the guy name? Tar Wangbe. When you found out that the people in Nimba were going to express themselves individually, what did he do? He said the folks were going against his way. He went the 23rd hour of the day. He fired everybody and brought in new folks that will follow because it was what we say secret ballot, and he wasn't sure that these people were going to follow. So be very careful with this thing we call secret ballot. They may tell you that they will vote for you, but when they close that curtain, you never know what happens. That's just an example. Now, I want to apologize to our listening audience that we, the Bassa people, were actually outmaneuvered by the man who we estimated. This man that calls Musa Bility. Musa Bility.
You the Bassa people? You remember LP?
Who, me? No.
Hold on, Leo. Let him man talk.
I am saying we everybody underestimated this man, and we castigated him, and we call him names. But this man has done something that only the best political scientists can do. He has consolidated power within the Liberty Party. He had 18 of the 24 executive committee members solidly behind him to vote and convict the more popular senator in the CPP, Darius Dillon, convicted and threw him out of the party for 6 months. And at this particular thing you call reconciliation, Darius Dillon was not invited. He came in through the back door. And guess what? The particular suspension we are talking about have never been lifted. It still stands. Darius Dillon is still suspended. This man has 18 out of the 24. The executive committee is the most powerful decision-making body outside the National Convention. He had 18 of the 24, which is in the democratic process. We call absolute majority. He can expel anybody that they find guilty. So this thing you're talking about, they have smoke or peace pipe is non-existent. Now let me tell you how Dara Dillon got to this particular meeting. He was not allowed because he was suspended. What they did, the deal was, well, we will allow every partisan, everybody that is of concern to this party, to bring one proxy to serve as secretary, which was the back door to bring somebody in. And Nyobli Kanga nominated Darius Dillon to be her proxy. Darius Dillon did not speak it. He couldn't cast any vote. He was a secretary taking note. That was it. So this thing about this, Mr. Ability has had a block that is so powerful. At this point, if you were playing chess, he has the king. He has taken the king of the opposition. He has now the power, and everybody has to go to the whims of Musa Ability. He had 18 of the 24 executive members to cast vote, and everybody else is at the mercy of Musa Ability at this point. So you cannot say anything. If Mr. Tule can tell you today that there has been a letter saying that we rescind, that the executive committee rescinded the suspension of Dara Dillon, we want to see it. Dara Dillon is still suspended, and there is what you saw there was purely political spectrum.
When I'm giving the go ahead, I will bring the memorandum of understanding to
I said the letter to rescind the suspension.
Hold on. I told you to sign a memorandum of understanding.
No, I don't want to see no memorandum of understanding. The man was suspended. Was the suspension lifted?
There was no sedition at that meeting. And the first thing, the issue of the suspension wasn't illegal. Dillon, as an elected member of the party, spoke on an issue that he shouldn't have spoken on.
That is not the point. Was the suspension lifted? Mr. Tule, was the suspension lifted?
If what is good
was the suspension lifted?
No. Let's look at the suspension first.
Was the suspension lifted?
The point here, Musa
was the suspension lifted, Mr. Tule?
The issue here is
no. Mr. Tule, you answer this question. Was the suspension lifted? The suspension.
Dennis, can I come here?
So Mr. Kuni, 30 seconds. Then we'll go to our comments. Because the two guys monopolize the stage.
Yeah, I mean, what I say here, that look, the CCP, they got a lot of hurdles. The CPP, they have a lot of hurdles. I'm glad to see the reconciliation in the Liberty Party, but that's not the solution to the CPP problem. The problem is, are they going to allow an open system of delegates to vote, or is going to be black mapping? Look, we can make all the noise, but let us take note of the predictions we make here from our analysis. I'm submitting to you tonight. If the primary of the CPP were to be open to delegates to vote their minds in a secret ballot system, Joseph Boyka will never emerge as a standard bearer of the CPP.
Your opinion?
And the reconciliation in the Liberty Party kind of signal to that, because Musa Ability is now strong. The Liberty Party and the ANC going to be against block voting. So either the CPP will adopt block voting, or they will fall apart on block voting.
Thank you. Let's go to our comments here. John Tappe, I fundamentally disagree with Leo. Political leaders exist across the world. Nomenclature vary. That's all.
I agree.
James Sedi, they are sharing position before elections are held in Liberia. Foreign Ministry for Boakai, Finance Ministry a letter for Ure, Yombly, and so I don't know where he's getting that information from, but Thomas Awaji, Wilmot, and the CDC are pushing Cummings because they know he cannot defeat Weah. Levy Thompson said, Mr. Kuni propaganda is not for children. He's not making it lazy at all. Somebody don't like somebody here. James said, where did you get that information from? We have more comments coming. Please take note of the Joanna Winkler Cooney. Opposition is meant to oppose. What else? Tavina Cole. Cooney, you are very lucky that the so-called opposition are messing up. Hence, the Liberian people may be stuck with your criminal government. UP and ANC herb. That's me, for the primary or so-called primary. Thomas Awaji again. What are 10 sustainable accomplishments of the current administration, Mr. Wilmot Cooney? Damawa Watkins. CPP needs a unique strategy. CDC would not make it to the runoff. And James is also saying that Bagbo is not the political leader of that party. Marina Jones, President Weah is President Weah, and the Liberians not Ghanaian. Be yourself. Don't try to be like anyone, my dear. Davina Cole again. I pray they get it together sooner than later. Tired with their empire of thieves, disrespect for the rule of law, and related justification. Let's see a few of those comments. Abitala said, Mr. Cooney, who are the elites?
Cooney.
And then Levy Tossi said, Dennis Jai. Che, I don't what did I do, Levy? Canada poor, there are a lot of political parties in Liberia. Why only CDC and CPP? Where are the rest? That's a good question. Where are the rest?
We don't need them.
Yeah. Mr. Cooney, someone is questioning your thought process. I'm just picking some comments here. Okay. Sam Waller, Cummings cannot win the CPP's nomination under the existing circumstances. He has positioned himself has himself against the other three parties who he labels the past. And there's I kind of see sense in that. Robert Zima is saying, CPP, you put yourself together, man. God there will make it. Well, I don't know. I don't know which party God will support, but
God, I see people, man.
Okay, Leo, stop this discrimination thing. You see, I said it right.
Well, you will get old. You don't worry, I said.
Riverside Pro said you will never find a platform with objective sedition. They are too die hard. Buaka needs to order Europe before thinking of Ellen Johnson and UP government, including Buaka himself.
Yep.
All right, those are a few of the comments. Let's go around the room and get your reaction to. There are many more comments, but those are the few that we can read now. Let me start with Mr. Cooney.
First of all, I want to thank those who make the comments, especially those who are critical, because we learn from criticism. We're not perfect. But what we do here is not a propaganda. What we do here is to showcase a government that inherited tremendous challenges and doing its best to serve the Liberian people. In that process, you have the opposition that really has nothing to offer, no vision, no contrasting plans. I've stated here over and over, we've not seen any plan that contrasts with the president infrastructure development, the president rural construction, the president rural housing, the president educational policies. We've not seen any plan that contrasts with electrification. We're not seeing any plans that contrast with road construction. All we see here is their dream that George Weah will fail so badly, and on the backs of that failure, they will ride to power. And that is unfortunate because politics, hoping for your opponent to fail is not a strategic political approach. We should engage politics in a way where we are presenting competing visions for the country. So this is why you see the noise that is in the CPP. It is all about jobs. Who are going to get jobs? They came out of the door. They will get job only to people who are visible. So it is this job thing, and the only way they can distribute job is to get rid of George Weah. So everything is being magnified tenfold. Every little thing that is occurring in the country is magnified tenfold because they believe that that's how they will rise to power. But the Liberian people are smarter than that. You saw the Liberian people showing love, authentic love for their president on the birthday. I think that's in a shockwave to the intelligentsia, including now the new member of the intelligentsia, our own host here, Dennis Ja.
Thank you. You. That's the first time that you knocked me off my feet, and I'm laughing until I can't even. Mr. Gilman, are you a member of this intelligentsia elite?
Oh no! We are fighting against the intelligentsia. There's one
we are grassroots.
This boy from Baywin in number 3 district, Grand Bassa County, is almost 88 miles away from the intelligentsia. So I am not. But
Mr. We have like 7 minutes to go. So let me slip in one news story so that we can just 30 seconds react to it, because there is this thing that there have been a lot of images of ritualistic killings on the internet, and it was reported that one of those images came from where someone has been arrested. So there was this image that was posted of someone who was allegedly killed and all the parts taken out on a table. Some say that's an autopsy table. So the person who posted that, who Facebook account posted that, was arrested by the police for questioning. And here's the story. The Liberian National Police has arrested a stalwart of the Alternative National Congress, ANC, Jethro Silla Kanga Harris, for allegedly spreading misinformation of ritualistic killings. Front Page Africa gathered that Kanga had reportedly posted a picture of a young girl alongside a picture of an open corpse on an autopsy table. He reportedly wrote, "I'm in tears tonight. It is so painful how the young people of Liberia are dying mysteriously. This is the late Rosa N. Winter, an alumni of the Land Miller High School." So because of what this guy posted, we see there's a picture of him here. He's being arrested for spreading false information. Mr. Okuni, let's put on your law enforcement hat here.
I'm happy to wear that hat.
Yeah.
Very happy to wear that hat. And look, the issue of ritualistic killing is very, very serious. It's not a topic to politicize. It's not a topic to play with. The death of any Liberian under any kind of circumstances, let alone ritualistic murder, is a horrendous act. But to use that kind of gruesome scenario to contribute to the sense of insecurity in a country is a dangerous thing.
Right.
It's a very dangerous thing. So
morally, is it a crime or is it free speech?
No, free speech doesn't give you the right for you to burn down the cinema, for you to shout fire in the cinema.
Exactly. So from your law enforcement, should someone be arrested for this?
Well, I don't know what arrest, but I think someone should be interviewed. Someone should be questioned for that. And let me tell you, because of the threat of terrorism in America, you cannot go in a train and say bomb, 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 even though it is your free speech to utter the word bomb. But when you utter that word, you will definitely be confronted by law enforcement here in America. So if your free speech undermines the security of the state, yes, the police is absolutely within their right to confront you.
Thank you. Quickly, Mr. Tule, is this free speech? Should this guy be held by the police for questioning?
I think it's an overreach. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't commit any crime. He shouldn't be arrested.
Should he be called for questioning, if not arrest?
Well, questioning about what? About a post that was created? What if he was sharing something that he saw? What if he saw another post on Facebook, or people said something and he saw it and then shared it? My point here is this. This is the thing about this government, they always sensationalize things. Look, why give it any leg? The people really, there have been instances of people being ritualistically murdered in Liberia. There have been instances. Focus on your job. Leave the people alone. I'll give you a common example. 5 auditors died, were killed in gruesome, different manners. In Monrovia, Dennis, I will say this categorically, and Kuning, except Kuning is not aware of it. There is no way anybody can murder anybody in Monrovia town and go and the police want to find us, especially among the criminals that operate. There's no way you will kill people 1, 2, 3, 4, including a sub-cabinet government official, and they don't arrest. There are no arrests of the criminals that committed it.
Right.
That means that somebody is saying, "Don't bother, let it just go. They will die natural death." I'm telling you today, there is no way.
Thank you. Thank you. I want us to. I don't want us to go beyond. We have 3 minutes, so let's go around the room for this second.
No, let me address that. I didn't address.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Okay.
Real quick. And you're talking about if it is crime. I wanted to say this because I just did a quick research here, and the Supreme Court of the United States ruled on what he just talked about when we're talking about what is considered free speech. And the Supreme Court made it clear. Speeches that are restricted. And it says obscenity, fraud, child pornography, speech and integral illegal conduct, speech that incites imminent lawlessness and danger to the state, speech that violates intellectual property law and true threat to the state. These are reasons that are separate from the free speech. The Supreme Court said, yes, the state has the right to prosecute you if you do any of these things. So by you taking, when the country is at, when we try about people, the opposition trying to create fear. And where was the young man? Where was he arrested? He was arrested at the ANC convention, where he was and posting these gruesome pictures from different countries and saying they are done in Liberia to create fear. So yes, the security of the state has all reason to arrest the man. Thank you very much. I just want to make that clear. In Florida here, we have a young lady that she and her husband came on a vacation, and the lady died or disappeared, and the husband disappeared, and we are still looking for that young man. He killed his wife, and the state is looking for him. Did we blame the governor? Did we blame Joe Biden? Did we blame the mayor? No, these things happen where a lot of people occupy the same space.
All right. So let's go around the room for 35 seconds.
All right, Dennis. Let me just, and I gotta go.
Yeah.
Let me say this. You know, nobody's saying George Weah is the one committing all the ritualistic murders, even though there are accusations against him and McGill and all of that. I don't care about that. The issue on the ground here is it is the responsibility of the leadership of the nation to provide security for the people. In the case of such gruesome murders and stuff, what are the optics? How is the government getting ahead of the situation? What's the government portrayal just in terms of what gesture is the government extending to the Liberian people in the place of fear? Oh, how can we allay your fears? How can we tell you that you're going to be protected in your home, in your communities, how your children will be protected, and all of this? Instead of doing this is not the issue. That is not the issue. The issue here is you have an issue in Liberia where people are actually very much afraid. Find a way to reassure the populace that we are in charge, not by arresting or somebody who posted one post of misinformation.
Mr. Tule, what do you think that guy did wrong? The guy who posted
community policing, assure the people through community policing that they are safe, that they are secure, that everything will go on well in Liberia. That's what
I agree. I agree. But do you hold this guy responsible and accountable for anything?
Yes, I hold him accountable, but is it criminal? It's not criminal.
Thank you. Let me make an exception here and hear from Ben Jonah. Ben.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you guys had closed the line.
Go ahead, 30 seconds.
Okay, good. So with regards to that particular picture, the only problem that gave the police the right was because the guy referred to the body that was found in Caldwell. So if he did not make that reference to that body, then he would have been saved. But he said this was a lady who was killed in Conway. And my last question to the brother from the Unity Party here is that since he believed that Waka will order, LA, can Waka order himself first and then let us know? Can he order himself first?
Yeah.
Because Waka himself, has not been audited. Let him order himself and then send that report to the Liberian people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And and this is the same situation we saw with Mo Ali, right?
Oh, when he was arrested?
Yeah, Mo Ali was arrested because he said something. So do we see a pattern here?
Let's look at this issue about Buckeye auditing himself. Let me say this. The Joe Buckeye that I know as a person, and I know fully well he had very limited reach in terms of government, in terms of budget and expenditure and all those things. So none of those things can really come back to him. I'm being honest with you. He will conduct a government-wide audit. It's one of the things that he has already put on the table. There will be a government-wide audit for the 12 years that they were in power. 12 years, they will audit them. It's a matter of must. And I ain't even talking about the current core of criminals that are already there.
Mr. Truly, where I work here, there's something called Expensify. When you go, the company take the company credit card, you use it, you come back and say, here my receipt.
Yeah.
At the minimum, can Joe Buckeye show his Expensify report? At the minimum, right now he's telling us, oh, I'm living on loans and all these things, but I don't want us to go into it. We want to end the broadcast here now. So let me get your closing statement. Instead of you giving your closing statement, you said something else.
But done.
Let's get your closing comments, or Mr. Gaiman, 30 seconds.
Well, thank you very much. I think when it comes to, we talk about security, and my brother keep talking about the optic makes the country look bad. What the president did for his birthday, where people celebrated all over the country with no security, with no issue. That is the optic that the international community want to see, that if we are bringing the bicentennial celebration, that's how it will look. The people are safe, they are friendly, they are hospitable, and the country is safe. And I think it is a great optic, and I thank the president for celebrating your birthday on a critical time when when the international community or the opposition were trying to make the international community to feel that the country was not safe, that people were being murdered everywhere. We just had a party with the president walking around, and I think it was great.
Thank you. Mr. Cooney, your closing comments.
Brother Tule said a couple of things that law enforcement need to do, and I perfectly agree with him. Law enforcement can do all that, and at the same time pursue those who contribute to the climate of insecurity in the country. Those two things are not incompatible. We cannot be trying to restore confidence in the security sector and someone is undermining that confidence by publishing false information across the internet. And sometimes, I sometimes pray for the opposition, because you got to be careful with what you wish for. If you think these things are winning strategy, one day you will be in government. If you think it is good for a certain member of the House of Representatives to leave the chamber of the House of Representatives and patrol the Capitol with insult of the presidency, if you work on that, if you cheer for that, be careful what you wish for. It may happen to you too. So we got to be very careful. And we embrace all of these negativity because it is this government. But this government will not remain in power forever. Joshua will leave the presidency 2029. And there will be another government. So we have to, you see, I'm a student of precedent. The precedents we set today will follow. So sometimes we need to.
Mr. Cooney, they did it with Ellen.
We have to temper our discourse sometimes to reflect on what it means for the country, what it means for the future. But on the closing note, using my law enforcement hat, I would have not hesitated to arrest that man, to question him, for him to tell the Liberian people where that body was. Again, in America, you cannot go on a plane, you cannot go on a train and start screaming terrorists, because you think it is your freedom of speech.
So how long you think that kind of interrogation would take?
Well, it depends on the nature of the circumstances. I'm not familiar with all of the information, so I can't say.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And we want to say thanks to our viewers for watching and those who commented. Always here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. This week, Wednesday, we're going to have the legendary Mianta Famule. She's going to be talking music, she's going to be talking art, and of course, politics. On that note, we want to say thank you for watching. We'll end with our song that says, no matter what you believe about the president's birthday, we are all Liberians.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. USA, all we want. Liberia, USA, all we want. Liberia, Liberia.